Welcome to Off Meta Analysis, where I take new ideas that aren't currently being used in the meta and analyze their potential, featuring Sly. Alright, so there are two Loomians in the game that currently have Sly, or rather two evolution lines, those being Metatoad and Banfino. And basically what Sly does is that it bypasses the opponent's items when attacking or being attacked by that Loomian. So if an opponent has an essence, that won't be taken into account when calculating the damage that will be dealt to Metatoad. So like let's say an Ice Essence Wintrix uses Frost Beam on Metatoad. It'll be treated as a regular Frost Beam without Ice Essence. So Metatoad will basically be taking less damage from the Frost Beam. And items like Heavy Armor, you can bypass that as well, so like your moves will be doing more damage to an opposing Loomian with Heavy Armor, so Slapdown is going to do more. I don't think Psycho Slap or Thunder Strike will bypass Heavy Armor for obvious reasons, since these two target the range defense, but it can definitely bypass Heavy Shield, so there's that. But yeah, it's just generally, think of Devious but for items, and it only affects certain items. So there are some items that don't factor into this ability, so things like Energy Orb. Energy Orb will still reduce the cost of energy, and it just, yeah, that's how this ability works. So I'm gonna be showing various clips of Metatoad using different moves against other Loomians, and other Loomians using moves against Metatoad using certain items. So I'll be testing things like let's say shells and pearls, specialty boots, clutch plushie, rageful plushie, all of that, and we'll see if Metatoad's moves will bypass those items, or if the opposing Loomians can still use their item. So let's just roll the clips. Alright, now that you've seen all of the clips, it is clear that Metatoad's Sly ability doesn't affect a lot of items in the game currently, but it still has an effect on some items, like Clutch Plushie, that's a huge one. There's also Pearls, that's also big, and I think Shells are sort of glitched. Like, if you see in these two clips, you'll see that Wintrix's Mud Spatter deals like sort of around the same damage, but it still says that the shell is being used. I think like that's like a visual glitch or whatever. I'm not actually sure if the shell is used. I probably should have tested that, but I'm assuming it is used, so I think it's just a bug on the devs end. But yeah, I think that this is a pretty solid ability. It's just that there aren't that many items in the game right now to abuse this ability with. But things like Clutch Plushie, I just want to focus on that real quick because I feel like Sly Metatoad can have a niche versus Hyper Offense team. So you'll see a lot of Clutch Plushie Gobidemics setting up barbs and stuff with the Hyper Offense team. And basically, if you send out a Sly Metatoad, not only is it immune to Gobidemic's Hypnotize, it also doesn't care about Provoke since you're going to be damaging it anyway. Maybe Gobidemic will get like one layer of barbs up, but then like Psycho Slap just OHKOs Gobidemic even through Clutch Plushie, and then you can just immediately send out your Hazards Remover. Like no one's gonna expect a Sly Metatoad, right? Or at least most people wouldn't. And just taking out Gobidemic right away is really damaging to a Hyper Offense team since it heavily relies on barbs. But also now let's talk about shells and pearls. So a lot of Hyper Offense teams also like to run different pearls or shells, or at least some do. So that this ability just makes it so that you're not surprised, right? Like it just provides a sense of consistency. So therefore, like you're not going to be like overthrown by some random weird tech that you've never seen before. Let's say like what's a good one? Let's say there's a Shade Pearl Cosmere on their team. Slapdown will still do a lot of damage to it, although Enchanted Coat will probably help tank the Slapdown really good or whatever. But like still, like Slapdown is going to be dealing double damage, and it bypasses the Shade Pearl, so that's going to be a lot of damage. If I were to guess, like if you were a very brawny Sly Metatoad, I'd say like you could do probably like around half to a Cosmere. Don't quote me on that, but like it should do a good amount is what I'm trying to say. What else? Like shells. Let's say you're up against a Chomp Tyrex with Power Jaw, and it has Shade Shell. So Chomp would do a lot of damage to Metatoad since it is weak to Dark. So would Banfino. And with Shade Shell, I think there's a possibility that Tyrex could OHKO Metatoad. I mean, I don't know why you would Chomp a Metatoad when you have Earthquake, but like, just bear with me. If it did have Shade Shell and it had the potential to OHKO your Metatoad, with Sly, you can possibly live it, and I don't know, you could like slap down its item or something. I mean, if it's Shade Shell, you probably don't benefit from slapping it down, but like, let's say you can Mega Punch it, or with Banfino, it resists Earth and Steel, so you could probably like Tsunami the Tyrex and live the Chomp. So those are just a few examples. But other than that, I feel like Sly is a good ability. It's just that there aren't that many items to abuse it with. It's the same thing with Devious. Like, Devious is a good ability, but there just isn't that many abilities to abuse it with. So like, Venolin is really good with it because it can abuse Stratosaur's Toxic Filter. Kirillin doesn't really have that much to abuse it with other than like Trash Armor, Hard Candy, like a few. Just I can't even name like a lot of abilities since there aren't that many abilities in the game. But yeah, like as the meta progresses, as we get new abilities and items, those two abilities will rise in usage, I feel like. And obviously, like, there's no way that they're just gonna let Metatoad and Banfino be the only ones with Sly, right? There's probably gonna be new Loomians with Sly. Like, yeah, that's my take on Sly. I don't really have anything else to add, but I do think this could be a potential thing against like hyper offense teams for like stuff like balance and stall. I don't know like how good it would be. I mean, let's say that there's like a metal type with the ability Sly You could probably abuse like Metal Pro Tundralin, which I've seen a lot of, or even like if we get a fire type, you could abuse Flame Pro Tundra. I just don't see that much of a usage against Stall, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.